Okay, everybody, welcome back to Oopta Premium, and we are going to be talking about something pretty cool, pretty nifty that I kind of discovered by accident. You know, many things in life don't go as planned, as more than a few of you noticed. And you gotta have contingency plans, you gotta have backup plans, or you just gotta work on the fly, whatever, right? You gotta wing it. And in this particular case, there was a fortuitous accident that happened, and we discovered something pretty cool about the old Lupta. And what is that change? Well, it has to do with the adversity cards, and specifically one adversity card. You know, anybody watch Sesame Street? One of these things is not like the others, right? Well, this is the card that does it. Research, receive the research grant, and collect 10 tokens. Okay, so like, what's the big deal? Yeah, you pick up the card, you pay for it, and you get 10 tokens. Well, there's a little bit more to it. In this particular case, I'm going to show you what the strategy is for reaping the most profit from collecting that particular adversity card. And so we're just going to go through the scenario. I can explain it, and I'll give you the reasons for why you can do this. However, you do need to understand that everything regarding this particular tactic or strategy is situational in the game. You know, Oopta is hard to pin down. There's no easy and fast answers in Oopta. That's one of my mantras, and this is no exception. Okay, so let's just go through the procedure here. I just rolled a number 2. So here's a typical 2 roll. Still pretty early in the game, but my components are pretty well stocked over there. We got a lot of adversities threatening. Here we're kind of all quiet on the Western Front, right? But situations change in a heartbeat, right? So you got to stay on top of things. So I rolled the number 2. I'm going to pay my 5 tokens, and I'm going to see what the adversity cards score for me. And then, of course, lo and behold, we already know we got the 10 tokens. Great! Why don't I just collect 10 tokens right now? Well, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's a safe path, right? Easy road to victory. I'll just grab 10 tokens and that'll do that. Well, that's one route. There's nothing wrong with it. Safest thing you can do. However, if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, and especially if you recognize the situations that are already present in the game, it may affect this riskier strategy. And so here is the riskier strategy. I'm not going to turn this card in and get 10 tokens. I'm going to hang on to it, right? And here are some of the factors from why I'm doing it. Well, let's first go over how would this help me, right? Well, the scenario for doing this is, you know, if you take a look at the growing season in the farmer's market, always got to keep an eagle eye out on that that farmer's market, right? Because good things are always brewing there, right? We've got a wonderful concoction going on in the kitchen over there, and it's lovely, right? So we know that the growing season starts over on cucumbers. It's only going to be 1 round away, so this is the ideal time to grab up this adversity card. You know, I'm gonna keep this thing and reap the benefits of withholding it from others, right? And in this case, withholding it from myself. I'm not receiving the 10 tokens yet. So we're going to withhold it. Now the next step, it kind of makes the water murky and muddy, but it's not that big a deal. We paid 5 tokens for it, and now I'm going to visualize that for you. Instead of paying the 5 tokens into the Hunger Depository, we're going to set up over here how much it costs to have the adversity card, and then how much I gain over here, right? That makes sense. We got costs, and we got gains. Losses and gains. Okay, so here's a loss of 5 tokens because I bought the card. First step. Second step. Now I got to survey the field and see who has what. Can they sabotage me? What can they do to this adversity card? Well, it's a lone card. It's got no protection on it. Next step would be to protect it, right? Again, assaying the field. We've got, we got a pretty good offensive juggernaut over here, and maybe a quieter one over here. So, but taking a closer look at this, this person has committed 20 tokens to their adversity card. This person has committed 10 tokens. Furthermore, I also happen to know that the squash, knowing that the growing season's going to turn over, people may be reluctant at this particular point in the game to play the card, right? So I don't really need to worry about adversity cards that much, except when it comes to how many marker tokens I want to put on this adversity card for protection. So, I think what we're going to do, since I have enough funds, that figures heavily too. Everything's situational conditional. I happen to have 20 tokens to spare over here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll just put 10. Why don't we put 15 tokens on? Notice how at this particular point in the game, the decision is arbitrary. You can, you're only limited by the amount of general funds that you have to decide how much you want to liquidate, right? So, I'm sorry, how much protection you want to put as far as marker tokens go, okay? So in this particular case, I am committing 15 tokens for protection. That should cover me. They're going to be reluctant to get rid of their adversity cards. Not sure what's going on over here. But moreover, there's also a probability that, of course, they roll a 6, right? And so that's another kind of factor. That's another kind of factor that looms large, right? Because now you got to figure, well, wait a minute. Do I own the organic sprayer? Can I protect myself against adversities? Certain adversity cards? What about greenhouse? If I have the greenhouse, am I going to be protected? Well, planted crops are. But, my other assets kind of depends on having that farm crew protected from sabotage, right? So again, a lot of the items in the resource shop figure prominently in your decision making, adding up all the conditional elements that give you a clear decision, a clear path to take, right? Many factors to consider on the deepest levels of UFTA. Actually, okay, so we've committed the 15 tokens. Now, what is the next thing that's going to happen? Assuming that nothing bad happens and these protective marker tokens aren't removed, the next thing that happens is that we go around, the growing season starts over. This particular point, we're going to consider the liquidated, we're going to consider these marker tokens as something that's a loss, right? Because it is a loss. I'm putting up those funds just simply for the sake of protection, right? So right now it's considered a loss. This is the loss column. Okay. But now, since the growing season has started over, squash goes to cucumbers, gambling debts are forgiven, and then everybody who has an adversity card is rewarded with 10 tokens. So let's just do that now real quick. Blam, 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 blam. And notice how they have even less incentive to play these cards, right? I kind of feel pretty good about that because they're doing very well, and moreover, it's cumbersome for them to try to liquidate all those extra funds. It'll take several rounds. So they're nice and secure over there. I can probably get away with what I'm doing. So I have 10 tokens on there. And here's the thing that's tricky. Before I consider these 10 tokens a gain, we have to also consider that the protection money, the marker tokens, the 10 and the 15, we'll keep them separate. These items are kind of, they're stuck on the card until I can free them up, right? Always in UFTA, you have the possibility of liquidation. However, when it comes to removing the marker token amounts off of the card, you can't do it in one lump sum, right? You've committed those tokens for protection, and they're there for the life of the card. But you can slowly, we'll use whatever terminology, we'll call it demilitarizing. We're slowly pulling back our forces, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to decommission these officers. You want to go that route. Here, on this particular turn, let's say, I can take off 5 tokens, right? And so this is an asset, by the way. Every time you liquidate, that's obviously a gain in your favor, right? Because you're moving the funds so that they can be distributed for some other cause, right? So here's the funds going over here. That was one round. Now we go around another time, and I'll do the same thing. We're going to take this 10 tokens. We'll split it up to 5 and 5. 5 tokens comes over here. 5 tokens stays right here. Okay. Right. So now we're going to go 3 rounds. And so notice that we're slowly devaluing the card. So now we'll go 3 rounds. We'll take this 5 tokens off. Now notice that the amount that was earned by the actual card by simply withholding it and receiving the 10 token payment due to a new growing season started, that amount stays there. And so as we do this, we keep going. Obviously the status of other players is going to be changing, and they may be looking at your card, trying to scoop it up, trying to sabotage it, whatever it is they can unleash, right? And so that's another factor that you just kind of have to weigh as you're going. But anyway, back to what we're doing. We have this amount that we've credited. Now we're going to do this one more time. We get to play the card. Voila, 10 tokens. Play the card. As soon as the card is executed, we get 10 tokens. And now we can look at the amount that we just earned, right? So what did we earn? Over here, we have 2 debits. We got a 5 and we got a 10. Well, in this particular case, we made out like gangbusters. So a tremendously valuable way to build your wealth, right? That's one of the features of UFTA. Yeah, the whole goal is to try to build wealth, sustainable wealth, right? Okay, and so that's what we did. We played the card, we received the funds, and over here, our profit is considerable. But again, notice how situational all of that is. It assumes, for one thing, that nobody attacks you. It assumes that things go smoothly, that you have no troubles of your own, that you can immediately liquidate every time on your turn. So it's kind of a slow burn. And like anything else, it's a question of understanding value, how value changes over time, right? And so it's a very key concept to understand in UFTA, but it's a great one to play around with. Again, safe tactic, grab the card, earn the 10 tokens. Trickier tactic, project and see how far into the future you think future earnings are possible. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that demonstration. I certainly did. And you can always review this video to make sense of how this particular action went. Alright, so that's going to do it for me for now, and hope to catch you on the flip side. Thank you very much.